And when you finally pulled your energy away, everything changed, but not in the way they expected, because Spirit is showing me that something happened after the separation. Something they never saw coming. For some of you, this person heard news about you. For others, they saw a picture, a social media post, a conversation, a chance encounter. Or maybe they simply noticed something missing in their own life that used to be there when you were around. Whatever it was, it stopped them in their tracks. Because for the first time, they saw you differently, not as someone who would always be there, not as someone they could return to whenever they felt ready, but as someone who was moving forward. And that realization shook them, because Spirit keeps showing me that they started comparing. Not consciously at first, but slowly, without even realizing it. Every new conversation reminded them of something you used to say. Every new connection seemed to be missing something they once found naturally with you, and that's when a question began haunting them. What if I was looking everywhere for something I already had? Now here's where this gets interesting, because Spirit is also showing me something they haven't told anyone. There's one memory they keep returning to, and it isn't the memory you would expect. It's not the big moment, it's not the dramatic ending, it's not even the happiest memory, it's something simple. A conversation, a look, a quiet moment, a small memory that seemed insignificant at the time. But now it keeps replaying in their mind, over and over again, almost as if Spirit keeps bringing them back there, and every time they revisit that memory, they notice something they didn't understand before, something they completely missed. Your love, your loyalty, your patience, the way you showed up for them, the way you believed in them, the way you understood parts of them that nobody else seemed to understand. And that's where the awakening really began, not because they suddenly missed you, but because they finally understood you. There is a difference. Missing someone creates sadness, understanding what you lost creates transformation, and this person is standing right in the middle of that transformation now. But that's not the only thing Spirit is showing me, because lately they've been experiencing signs, strange reminders, unexpected dreams, moments where your name appears out of nowhere, songs playing at the exact right moment, memories surfacing when they least expect it. And no matter how hard they try to push it away, the message keeps returning. You again and again, as if something is refusing to let them forget. Now whether you believe in signs or not isn't important. What's important is how they're reacting to them. Because each reminder is forcing them to confront a possibility they weren't ready to face. The possibility that they may have underestimated how important this connection truly was. And now new fear is emerging. Not the fear of rejection, not the fear of vulnerability, but the fear that they waited too long, because Spirit keeps showing me that they're beginning to sense something about you. Your energy feels different, stronger, calmer, more detached, as if you've stopped waiting, as if you've reclaimed parts of yourself that once belonged to this connection. And suddenly they don't feel as certain anymore. For a long time they believed the story wasn't over, that they could return whenever they wanted, that there would always be another opportunity. But now they're standing at a crossroads. One path requires courage, the other path guarantees regret. And for the first time, they know they cannot remain where they are. A decision is approaching, and what happens next may change everything. And this is where things begin to change, because up until now, this person has been living with memories. They've been living with assumptions. They've been telling themselves that someday, somehow, life would bring the two of you back into alignment. But Spirit keeps showing me a moment that changed everything. Not years ago, not during the separation, recently, and that's important. Because something happened recently that forced them to look at this connection through completely different eyes. For some of you, they heard news about you. For others, they saw something unexpectedly, a photograph, a message, a conversation, a name mentioned out of nowhere. Or perhaps they simply realized how much time had actually passed. But whatever happened, it stopped them. And for the first time in a very long time, they couldn't distract themselves from the truth. Now here's something Spirit keeps bringing forward. There's a conversation they replay over and over again, and I don't think they've told anyone about it. It's not necessarily the last conversation. It's not the biggest argument. It's not the dramatic moment they thought mattered most. It's something smaller, something quieter. Something they didn't fully understand at the time, but now they keep revisiting it. And every time they do, they hear something different, they see something different, they understand something different. Because Spirit keeps showing me that there were things you tried to tell them that they weren't ready to hear. Warnings. Feelings. Needs. Truths. And now those words are echoing back to them, almost as if life itself is showing them what you were trying to say all along. And that's where the real awakening began. Not when they missed you, not when they felt lonely. But when they realized you were right about something. Now I know some of you are asking, why now, why after all this time? And Spirit answered that question immediately. Because this isn't just about timing. It's about consequences. This person had to experience life without your energy before they could understand what your energy brought into their life. But Spirit is also showing me another layer, a layer they haven't shared with anyone. They are afraid, not of rejection, not even of vulnerability. They're afraid that you have truly moved on. They're afraid that while they were figuring things out, you were healing. While they were hesitating, you were growing. While they were looking backward, you were building a future. And that fear has become impossible to ignore. Because they can feel the difference in your energy. They may not fully understand it, but they can feel it. You no longer carry the same attachment, the same desperation, the same waiting energy. And that has created urgency where there was once comfort. Because for a long time they believed there would always be another chance. Now they're no longer sure. And this is where the story shifts, because Spirit keeps showing me that this person has been considering action. Thinking about reaching out. Thinking about what they would say. Thinking about how they would explain everything. Thinking about whether they still have a place in your life. I don't feel this is just contemplation anymore. I feel movement. Slow movement, careful movement, but movement nonetheless. And whether they follow through tomorrow, next week, or later down the road. Something inside them has already changed. A decision is forming. A decision they can no longer postpone. But here's the most important message of this entire reading. While they were waking up to your value, you were waking up to your own. That's the real miracle here. You stopped carrying what was never yours to carry. You stopped trying to rescue someone from lessons they needed to learn themselves. You stopped measuring your worth through another person's choices. And because of that, your energy has become incredibly powerful. Spirit keeps showing me someone standing in a doorway. One chapter behind them. Another chapter waiting ahead. And what stands in that doorway is not the version of you this person remembers. That version is gone. The version who questioned themselves. The version who waited. The version who settled for uncertainty. Gone. What stands there now is someone who knows exactly what they deserve. And that changes everything. Because the person who once feared losing you may soon discover they are no longer chasing the same version of you. That person no longer exists. And what stands before them now is someone who has finally learned their worth, someone who no longer needs validation to feel valuable, someone who no longer needs permission to move forward. And my beautiful friend, that's why Spirit keeps showing me something beautiful ahead. Not because someone is returning. Not because someone regrets the past, but because you finally became the person you were always meant to be. And no matter what happens next, that victory can never be taken away from you.